And we're live. So I'm just waiting for Ashley to join. So I am Jen Wilson from IamJenWilson.com, author of 9 Rules to Sort Your Shit, yoga, Pilates, meditation teacher, massage therapist when we're allowed to talk to each other. And this is part of the Healing Rebel series where I am speaking to other teachers, other coaches who can do some mindfulness stuff or do things that help us look after our health and well-being. So today I've got Ashley coming on. Just waiting for her to join. There you are.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. The sun's shining,
I
but
know.
that makes it better, doesn't it?
Mm.
Cheers you up a bit.
Always when you can see blue skies, everything just feels lighter.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So welcome to my lunchtime chats.
Thank you for having me.
I think this is like the fourth or fifth one that I've done now,
Mhm.
and the purpose of it is just speaking to other small business owners who do stuff that help people's health and well-being,
Yeah.
and sharing what it is that you do and why you do it and how we can help people feel better in the world.
Uh-huh.
Because that's very much what the foundation of my business is about, is I just want people to be able to feel better when they're moving, when they're thinking, when they're dealing with life.
Yeah.
It's so important. So why don't you not introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what your business is about?
So my name is Ashley, and I am a mindfulness practitioner. So my background is in psychology, so I've got a psychology degree. So my practice is very much based on the foundations of scientific based research. So there's a lot of benefits to mindfulness, and there's a lot of studies to kind of back that up as well. So just clarity and focus, being in the present moment, because we're all before the pandemic, I think we were all rushing through life, you know, working, overworking, having it, kind of feeling pressured to be constantly on the go, be doing things. And when the pandemic hit, I think everybody just stopped for the first time maybe in their lives, that they've actually just went, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Now I have to deal with all this stuff, and then it kind of starts to bubble up to the surface. I think a lot of people have realised the importance of looking after their mental health, emotional well-being, and building the resilience as well to overcome these obstacles. Because I don't think anybody expected this to happen. So I kind of work with people on an individual basis. I do individual sessions, and I do a lot of classes and workshops based around building resilience, and establishing healthy boundaries as well.
Yeah.
And I've got one coming up about reconnecting with your identity and sense of self. Because I think a lot of people have, it's almost like they've lost their identity, and they're like, what actually makes up my identity now when I'm not doing all these things that I usually would have been doing previously?
Do you
Um,
think that is a values-based identity?
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's so many parts of your identity. That you've got the identity that you view as yourself, and that's quite a personal, private part of your identity.
Yeah.
And you've got your identity that you show to other people. And
Social media identity.
exactly, and I think there is quite a big kind of emphasis on social media identity, and then kind of having to portray this image to other people. Okay, I can deal with my mental health, I can maintain, but really they're maybe struggling inside, and they feel that they don't want to let their vulnerabilities spill out into their social media kind of version of themselves as well.
Yeah. Amazing. So it's interesting when you can even see, even if we did know that this pandemic situation was going to happen, you couldn't prepare. I don't think you could ever prepare yourself mentally for it, because every situation's completely unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being able to have the tools in your toolbox to go, what one can I use here to just help me stay a wee bit sane
Mm-hmm.
while you muddle through.
Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of people now are realising the value of having these tools, because they've been hit so many times and there's been so much uncertainty as well. You know, now in lockdown, now the restrictions have eased, and how do I manage all these ups and downs?
Yeah.
And I think that's been quite a difficult thing for people. I know it's been a difficult thing for me to deal with as well, because I started my business. So I quit my job, my full-time job, started my business in January last year. And
Perfect timing.
yeah, all of a sudden, the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So I had to really adapt a lot. I had kind of workshops in different places out in the community, and now I've had to kind of adapt that, and now all my workshops and classes are online, which I think actually works quite well, because I can record them, and it's a bit more accessible for lots of different people across Scotland and in the UK, as opposed to just in Glasgow as well.
Yeah, yeah. Gets to open you up a bit more to more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So for people who don't know, what is mindfulness?
So mindfulness, I always see mindfulness as the practice of allowing yourself to be in the present moment, and to be able to notice what's coming up for you. Because a lot of the times we just keep moving through and we're always in doing mode. We're very rarely in being mode and allowing ourselves to be still and thinking about what is actually coming up for me. How do I feel today? As opposed to, right, I just need to get this stuff done. I need to do this. And then all these things are sitting just underneath the surface. Because see, if you ignore these thoughts and feelings that are sitting inside you, and this tension that's sitting inside you, they don't go away. They just manifest and crop up in different various ways, you know, so they don't disappear. So it's about you getting into the practice of being present, about not missing these special moments that we kind of glaze past, and all of a sudden it's a memory. So we're actually we're feeling these emotions in that moment, and we're noticing it as well, and it kind of helps us kind of remain a bit more in tune with ourselves as well, and kind of noticing things.
Yeah, that's something that I really encourage my class to do, whether they're doing yoga or Pilates or doing one-to-one sessions. I'm always saying to my clients, and particularly now because I can't be there properly what people are doing or be able to help them, I'm like, you really need to tune in and listen to your body. Notice what it's telling you, notice what your energy is doing today. Do you feel really energetic and want to do more, or are you feeling a wee bit on edge or tired and you want to be a bit more gentle with your body? But always listening to the signals that it's sending you back, because if something's not right, your body sends you that noise in to your nervous system to say change something. Whether it's a pain, whether it's a niggle, whether it's just doesn't feel quite connected. So always just stop and change, because if you just do things exactly the same way every single time and it's something that's not quite right, over time that's going to injure you. And that'd be the same with your thoughts. If you just keep doing the same thing all the time and ignoring the signals that are coming, eventually it's going to injure you.
Exactly. And I think when you notice that you're feeling anxious, that's coming from somewhere. So that, like, if you have those kind of pangs of anxieties, where is that coming from? You know, it's like these thoughts that kind of come through your head, and we have this daily chatter, don't we? We have, like, we're constantly in our own heads. And I think especially throughout lockdown, because we don't really have anything to distract us from our own thoughts. So we overthink, and we're stuck in that constant cycle of, you know, thought. It could be negative thought, because I think, you know, that's been a big a lot of people have been feeling quite negative about it, because it's that uncertainty. And there's kind of, all right, okay, well, I'm kind of stuck with this in this negative cycle of thought, so how do I get rid of this? And it's about being able to take that step back and go, right, okay, I'm feeling kind of overly negative, and it's then leading to me feeling anxious, and the anxiety builds up in your body and you can feel it. I know I get it in my shoulders, so my shoulders are like really, really tense, and wow, I feel like I need to move. I need to kind of move my body because this tension is building up inside me. And it's all connected. Your mind and your body are so connected. And sometimes we can kind of disassociate and we're just out of our body, and it's about trying to balance that back up again as well, and find that connect.
Yeah. When you're saying there about you feeling all that tension in your shoulders, when did you talk about feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders? It's because you're taking on too much and you're not offloading whatever it is, whether it's responsibility, whether it's other people's concerns or worries, or you're just loading all your own worries onto your shoulders, and it's being able to find ways to release and let them go.
Exactly.
Do you do like movement or breath practice with the mindfulness, or is it all just thought process?
Yes, I do. I do a class that's mindful movement, beats, and breath work. So I kind of focus a lot. I kind of across many of my different workshops that I've got in classes, I do a kind of combination of breath work, guided meditation, visualization, and things like that. So I kind of mix it up a bit so people kind of get a good kind of varied view of different, a varied experience of meditations.
So what does your own personal practice look like?
So I actually have quite a combination of mindfulness meditation, and I do a lot of yoga as well. That's a really good way of kind of attaching your mind and your body together, and so they're kind of flowing a lot better. And I think there's such a big focus in it, because I kind of got into mindfulness. My daughter's got autism. So she kind of struggles to deal with her emotional regulation. So I actually got into mindfulness by teaching her how to manage her emotions and her big feelings, by kind of meditating and kind of bringing our practice into just focusing on the present. And that kind of led me to getting really interested in it, because I've got my background in psychology. It kind of linked up really well with the way that my kind of style of working. So I felt like it was just a natural thing for me to get into. It does. It helps so much. I think a lot of people think, oh, mindfulness, I'm not sure. That seems a bit too spiritual, and and you make it work for you, and you adapt it to who you are and what your values, what your beliefs are, because it doesn't have to be a spiritual thing if you don't want it to be for you.
Because that's the same with yoga. It doesn't need to be a spiritual practice. For some people, that's what feels more natural for them. For some people, they like to then add that into whatever their religious beliefs are. So you take like anything, you take from it what you need, and then ditch the rest. And you might come back to something at another time and then start developing it into a more spiritual practice, or you might start it as a spiritual practice and go, actually no, that doesn't work for me anymore. I want to do something different, which is totally fine.
Yeah, I know, and I feel like I am a big advocate in adapting my work to suit the client or the individual. They tell me what they believe, what their core values, their beliefs are, and I adapt my my kind of work to suit them, so that they get the most out of the sessions or workshops as they can. Because I think there's so many different people, and they believe different things, and it's important to encourage that as well and empower them to take control in their own way.
It also helps them feel listened to. Like if they come into you and said, I don't have any spiritual or religious beliefs or whatever, and then you started going, well, I want you to start to breathing into God, or people like, she didn't hear a word I said.
And that's it. It's really important to listen to people, and the kind of work when you're working with people in the kind of a kind of wellbeing therapeutic practice. It's really important for people to listen to what they're saying to you, because a lot of the time, maybe throughout their life, they maybe don't feel listened to.
Yeah.
And it's really important for them to feel listened to and to feel supported, and encouraged as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So what difference has it made for your daughter, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. What difference has that made for her, like in working with autism?
I think it's made a massive difference actually, because she knows that there's a safe place for her to go. If she does feel overwhelmed, she's not going to get bombarded. You know, like, right, you need to do this or you need to do that when she feels very, very overwhelmed. So it's about her being able to go into a room. She can go and listen to her meditation and kind of focus in and ground herself. I think being able to ground yourself as well, and having tools, as you said, in your toolbox to be able to use, even when she's out with the house as well, when she's in school, there's things for her that she can use to overcome her kind of big emotions and feeling like kind of out of control, and just helping her to regain that control again, which I think has been really, really useful. And it's just about if you incorporate these tools from a very young age as well, that they've already incorporated it into, adapted it into their normal routine, so it becomes like second nature. And I feel that works for my clients and older people and that I work with. They have those tools then. Once they have them, that's them. They've got it.
Yeah, got it for life.
Mm-hmm. The more you use it, the more comfortable you get being able to just utilize it when you need it, when you need to.
Yeah, and it becomes part of your day, like getting up and having a shower and brushing your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this is where I fit it into my routine, so that you feel I notice the days that I don't do my meditation practice. I notice
Yeah.
like everything just feels like it's not quite lined up right.
Yeah.
It's like trying two bits of the jigsaw that don't quite work together.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And I always see it's like having that overall life balance. It's having the self-maintenance, and I feel like mindfulness and meditation is a part of your self-maintenance. Because people say like, oh, this is kind of like a luxury. It's a luxury item, and I feel like it's. I think that's the way that society views mental health, or has viewed. I feel like it's changing now, but like I feel like they kind of see it as a luxury item. But I see it's probably it's a necessity. It is a necessity in our lives. If we don't look after our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, then everything else starts to feel overwhelming, and there's no real balance between everything kind of meshing up together.
Yeah, yeah. I think people definitely have realised the importance of it because, like you say, if everything else isn't in alignment, you can't do your job.
Mm-hmm.
You can't look after the kids. You can't enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just not there and not available. And I know that I've got a few friends that work for like corporate businesses and stuff, and there's definitely more conversation within the corporate world about staff well-being and staff mental health and helping support and look after that. Um, some of them have reported back that they talk about it, but they don't actually put their hands in the pocket and pay out for any of these
Yeah.
things to come into play. So I think there's still work to be done
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, but there's definitely been a shift in people realising how much benefit they get to looking after this and their physical body first, and then they've got more energy to do other things. They've got more headspace, more productivity. Everything else just feels easier when
Yeah.
you're trying to do everything on a back foot all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely hear what you're saying about kind of there seems to have been a shift. We're not quite there yet, obviously, but there has definitely been a shift, and there are a lot more workplaces that I'm hearing about that are, bringing mindfulness practitioners and bringing mental health advocates in, and kind of encouraging people to be looking after their mental health, because I think there's such high rates of burnout in workplaces and corporate workplaces. I think all workplaces, because I've worked in a lot of charity organisations, and even those are not quite there with looking after staff mental health.
Yeah.
But that being said, there has been a lot more push to kind of encouraging that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I've noticed that the pandemic has changed people's perception of what time they're willing to give to their work.
Yeah.
You know, they're maybe prioritising their free time more so than kind of feeling overworked all the time. Because there is a lot of pressure to be working like full-time hours and be always on your game, and you know, be giving all yourself totally over to your work, and sometimes you kind of live to work as opposed
Yeah.
to live.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
Made
Yeah.
myself really unwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. But there is so much pressure to do that.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people now saying, no, I think I'm just going to go back to working 3-day, 4-day weeks and having longer weekends, and being able to utilise that time off a bit better as well.
Yes, I think a lot of people have realised what's important in terms of what they spend their money on, and if money's maybe been a bit tight, it's like, right, well, what's really important, or when other things are closed where you've maybe not got those distractions to go and spend that you would maybe go shopping or spend your money on. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, okay, well, if I don't use my money for that, then I can use it for something else, or I don't need to then bring in quite so much money that I thought I did because you've been able to let some other things go.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's about being able to prioritise what's important. Because I think there's also a lot of pressure on people to be kind of spending their money and like spending their money on clothes and lots of material things as well. When I think when this hit, it made you realise like what's important, and what that I want to prioritise in my life as well. Because I think it is tough because people feel so under pressure, and being able to just pause when we had this pandemic, because I feel like now I'm trying to focus in on the positive things that have came from the pandemic, as opposed to focusing in on the negative things that have happened as opposed to the pandemic. It's trying to look at how can we, what's our new normal. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people have been saying, what does our new normal look like now?
yeah. So what's been the biggest positive thing for you?
I think being able to spend time with my family, I think that's been really good.
Mm.
Also understanding that definitely it's important to have your own time as well. Have your own time away from your family, away from your friends, and being able to look internally a bit more. And because like I think a lot of people have struggled with their anxiety, and it's manifested definitely in different ways. Probably a lot, I've noticed a lot of health anxiety as well. But it's being able to notice what's coming up for you. So I've been able to notice a lot more what's coming up for me, and kind of challenge those in the moment, as opposed to kind of letting them fester and letting them manifest, as they do tend to do. And spend more time with, you know, spend more time on the things that are important in my life,
Yeah.
my family and friends, and my business as well, kind of nurturing my business. I think it's gave me a lot of, because I've not really taken any time off. I've been having clients over Zoom, and I've not really had any time off, so I've been able to nurture my business a lot more, and figure out what direction I would like to go in my business.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. I'm the same. I haven't stopped. I took all my classes from being in-person classes to being on Zoom, the same as you. So I've got six between yoga and Pilates, 6 classes a week that are public classes, and I do some one-to-ones over
Mm-hmm.
Zoom, and I'll have client days, which are 3 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other 4 days. How many days does that leave in a week? Maths is
Not sure.
strong
I'm
for
feeling like
here. And
a
the
lot.
rest of the days are a mix of days off, days to rest if I need to rest, and days to get to work on my business rather than in my business if that's what I've got the energy for and stuff. Because being on Zoom, I noticed I have to talk a lot more when I'm teaching, so it's
Yeah.
just like constant, because if you stop talking, you can see people stop and turn and look at the screen to see if the screen's frozen or something. So it's just like you just need to keep this constant chatter going all the way through so that people know that you're still there, and
Yeah.
keeps them connected into their movement.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of it, I'm like, I need a drink. Oh my god, I'm so thirsty, and I'm so tired because I've just been talk the whole time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think like it is. I'm very much looking forward to being able to see people face to face. I think being over Zoom, there's always these technical issues and
Yeah.
a lot of different other things, and as you say, like having to talk a lot. But it's also being able to have that kind of face to face and be able to see the person in front of you. I'm a very face to face type of person. I like that interaction. I enjoy it. That's why I love working with other people, and you can also assess where they're at as well a bit more. I think it's difficult to assess where someone's at, like emotionally and physically, when you're not seeing them in person. But I'm very much looking forward to having people back in my office again.
Yeah. So when will you be allowed to have people in your office from about the 26th? Are you
Yeah.
allowed to do face to face? Yeah.
Yes, I'll be able to have people in my office. It's quite good. I'm in the Pentagon Centre. That's where my offices are, just in Washington Street in Glasgow.
Yeah, or in city centre, yeah.
So it's really, really good because there's lots of space to socially distance. Everybody has to wear their masks and things like that. So it's actually quite a good space for me to have clients in. So I'm very much looking forward to that. It'll be good to see all my clients face to face again.
Yeah, yeah. So has your business changed much from doing, was it psychology to doing the mindfulness? Or is it purely just focused on the mindfulness
So
side?
it's focused on mental health. So
Yeah.
I have specialised working with people with anxiety, addictions, and dealing with traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
So I kind of work with them. Kind of first of all, when I'm doing individual sessions, I have just a kind of space. Like the first session would just be gathering information and kind of looking at what they would like to achieve from their sessions as well. And then what I do is I kind of collate the information and look at what are the things that we really need to focus on right now, and we can talk through that, and what are the things that are for longer term goals that we kind of want to look at. And that just helps build a better idea, and it's very much a two-way partnership. We kind of work together so that they get the most out of the sessions as they can, and then I kind of incorporate mindfulness into that as a tool that they can learn. Some have previous experience of mindfulness, some have no experience of mindfulness. So it's about kind of building their practice, and I incorporate it into the sessions as well, because it just settles them into the session a bit more.
Yeah. What are probably your clients' biggest obstacles, do you think?
I think a lot is their internal narrative, how they talk to themselves. Also a lot, that's why I kind of centre a lot of my workshops around boundaries and kind of reconnecting with your identity, because I think a lot of people struggle to set boundaries for themselves, and they let a lot of negative into their lives because they feel that they have to keep everybody happy, but
Yeah.
they're not really making themselves happy, and then that can manifest into a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of issues around self-esteem, self-worth, and not feeling good enough a lot of the time. It's being able to allow them to talk about these things, and have someone really listen to them and help to empower them to overcome these obstacles themselves, because nobody can make any changes happen like from the outside. You need to be able to do it within yourself, and you need to believe the positive things that you're telling yourself as well, because I think there's so many critical inner voices that are continually going on in my clients, and it's being able to even voice these critical voices out loud kind of gets it out, and they can start to challenge them as well. I think is a really big point. Being able to challenge that internal dialogue Because a thought is just a thought. It's not based on any fact. I think sometimes we have a thought and it's, oh no, that's just automatic fact. I'm worthless, and that's what I'm telling myself. But someone actually telling you that's not true, that's you know, being able to challenge that is very powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you get to say things out loud, first of all, you've released that pressure that's inside you. And second of all, is finding out that you're not the only person that thinks this way, that other people have. Like, just about all of us pretty much think the same way about ourselves internally. We run those limiting self-beliefs. And I don't want to say it's normal, but it's common. It's not normal, it's common. And just because something's common doesn't make it normal or beneficial.
And I think we've all been brought up in a society where it has predominantly been encouraged for us to be selfless, to be very modest. We don't boast about ourselves. We don't say nice things about ourselves because, you know, that's not good. You don't want to
be that person.
You don't want to be that person. And it's about trying to flip that, trying to flip these things that we've been kind of, that has been built up inside us, that has been told to, these messages that have been told to us throughout our lives, trying to unlearn that and think, oh no, it's actually okay for me to be selfish. It's very important for me to be selfish sometimes and think about my own needs as opposed to thinking about everybody else's needs before my own. And it is okay to toot our own horn and say, do you know what, I feel I'm a great person, I'm very kind, and you know, I'm loving, and I deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
It's almost like a foreign language.
Yeah. That's something I wrote a book called 9 Rules to Sort Your Shit, and the first like 2 or 3 chapters are all about that, about working out what your values are, learning to be selfish, to know that it's okay to be selfish and it's not that bad word of, oh, you're so selfish, it's a good thing to be, and doing a lot of self-love and self-belief to feel better in yourself so that you can then be a better version of yourself whenever you're out in the world.
Yeah. And I think that's so important because I don't think a lot of people realise how important it is. And you kind of look at what is this self-belief? How is it serving me? How is it adding to me? How is it making me feel like a better person or helping me like navigate my way through life and looking at things that I want in my life? Because I think it is being able to love yourself and give yourself compassion is a skill that is so important, that, you know, it's essential in allowing us to be the best version of ourselves.
100%. And I think when people look at other people who are displaying that confidence and self-belief in it, I remember always being told that the things that you admire about other people are the things that you have in yourself that you maybe just don't have the confidence to show, or you don't realise are about, you recognise that in you. And it's so true. So if you're looking at somebody going, oh, look at them, they're so confident, they're so sure of themselves, that's like something that is there in you. It just needs to be nurtured back out.
And that's a strong focus when I'm working with clients, for them to be able to see the positive aspects of their life as opposed to focusing solely on the negative things or the things that they don't like about themselves, nurturing the things that they do like about themselves, and helping them to believe it a bit more, you know. Having that belief.
Trying to convince them. You are amazing.
And I think mindfulness really does help with that a lot. Because there's a lot of mindfulness centered on, like meditation centered on, you know, self-compassion, self-love, and kind of helping them to empower themselves. Because as I said before, it's one thing me saying that to them and trying to encourage that, but it's helping them to believe it themselves as well.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody this morning who had a couple of clients leave them yesterday, but they weren't their ideal client. They were clients that they were charging far too little money for the amount of work that they were doing, and it was kind of almost a thank goodness they're gone, but oh shit, 2 clients have just left in the last sort of 24 hours, and imposter syndrome starting to come up. And I had said to her, I was like, those thoughts are trying to protect you, so thank them for being there, but then send them on their way because they're not making you feel better about yourself.
Exactly.
For me, that mindfulness practice is what helped me recognize those thoughts and to be able to go, oh yeah, that's just that part of me that wants to think that way. And now you can jog on because I've got other things to do.
And definitely, it's being able to acknowledge what is coming up for you. And a lot of the times, we can't really see what's going on for us in the moment.
Yeah.
Times it has to take like maybe the next week or the next 2 weeks for us to be able to reflect and go, oh right, okay, that makes sense, that's probably what was going on for me. And that, you know, and sometimes we're not able to look at it in the moment. Sometimes it is difficult. And that's why it's important to be able to reflect and journal. And like if you're kind of, if you enjoy journaling and it helps you better than talking sometimes, sometimes it's easier for us just to, or even just in that moment, to get our thoughts out of our head and onto paper. At least it's out our heads.
Yes.
And being able to reflect, because sometimes you start writing, like see when I start journaling, I start writing, I'm like, it's almost like my hand's got a life of its own, and I'm like, where's this all coming from? This is just, and that's how powerful reflection is.
Yeah. And sometimes you're looking going, these words I'm writing down are crazy, but they're obviously in there somewhere and you need to get them out to let them go.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody there's just saying, I think I should start to journal 100%.
Definitely.
I started off doing the morning pages where you just, as soon as you woke up, got a pen and bit of paper and just scrolled whatever came out, not thinking about it, not worrying about punctuation or how tidy or messy your writing was or anything, just filling pages. And I did that. I started doing that after my marriage ended. Like that was what, 2010, so nearly 11 years ago, and it was so therapeutic because it was just all this stuff that was there, and I managed to get it out and clear a lot of the stuff I was holding on to.
Yeah, because it does. It's almost like you go internally, and it's you're there in that moment by yourself with your journal, and it's so therapeutic when you get into the practice of doing it, because it just gets those thoughts on out of your head and onto paper. And I always encourage my clients to be journaling through our sessions and workshops. I've actually got a workshop coming up called Constructing Your Own Narrative, and it's a guide to journaling. That is on the 14th of May at 5:30 to 6:30. So that's really, really good. And there's going to be like different themes every week so that people, because a lot of people, when they come into me and they're a client, a lot of the times they're like, right, how do I start this journaling? How, like, does there have to be a structure? And sometimes there can be a structure. If I work better with structure. But sometimes it's just about getting it out and just writing it down. It doesn't have to be a structure. So look at the different types of ways that you can prompt yourself to journal.
Yeah. So where do people find out about that workshop?
So it's just it's on my. You can just link on my website. My website is www.ashley-victoria.com, and there's a little suggestion box, and you can just write a wee email to me, and I can tell you a little bit more information about it. And I've got some guided meditations starting next week as well, which will be good. I've got one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. So I've got one on Tuesday at 8 a.m. to 8:25, and that's all via Zoom. And Thursday is one to end the night at 6:30 to 6:55. So it's a really good way of just getting into the habit of practicing your meditation and kind of setting yourself up for the morning. There's a good morning one, and then kind of ending the night in a nice kind of calm decongesting from your day.
Yeah, that's right. And where do you find out about them? Is that on the website as well?
Website as well. Or you can on my Instagram, which is Ashley_down_the_rabbit_hole. I regret doing that one now through all the underscores, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll put this onto IGTV, so I'll tag you in the wee information bit, And then I'm going to put this onto my podcast and onto YouTube as well. So I'll put that into the comments, like into the notes sections, depending on where it is that people are hearing this when they're listening back. Is there anything else that you want to say or talk about before we wrap this up?
I think just I always try and encourage people to incorporate mindfulness into their routine, and it is just a way for you to slow things down a little bit, because I think now I'm very aware that where the restrictions are starting to ease, and there's going to be this really big pull for people to just get back to their normal lives again and get back to that fast-paced way of living.
Yeah.
So just taking a minute and just deciding how you want to adapt to this new normal, and how you want to incorporate some mindfulness or looking after your mental health, and kind of establishing boundaries and things like that. What you want that to look like, and take some time to just think about that before everything starts going 100 miles an hour again.
Yeah. I think on the other side of that as well, there's some people chomping at the bit, desperate to get back to the way things were, but there's other people absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
And whichever side of the coin that you're on there, it's what do you want? Not what your boss wants, not what anybody else wants. What do you want? That's what's important.
Exactly. And it's not selfish, you know, and it is okay to be selfish sometimes, you know, and it is important for you to be able to maintain your mental health, because it is so important. You know, people say, oh, well, you can't see your mental health, you can't, you know, it's not like a physical thing, it's not like a broken leg, but it's internally, it's what you're dealing with, and it's important to listen to that.
Yeah, listen and honour.
Yes, exactly.
Be kind and be curious. That's my wee tagline on my business. It's be kind, be curious.
I like
Just keep being kind to yourself and be curious about the stuff that's coming up.
Yeah.
So that you can take on what you need and what's useful, and you can let go of what's not, whether it's movement, whether it's thoughts, whether it's whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. This was really good.
I know, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm so glad that we connected. So this was it was in the GGC.
Yeah.
You're a GC member, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So love Laura. Love
She's
Laura so much.
I know, it was honestly, I remember going to a networking event a wee while, well, I think it was like 2 years ago or something like that. No, a year and a half or so ago. It was when things were all, it was normal, and I remember it was fantastic, and I met so many amazing people, and I missed that. You know, it's being able to have those little networking events and things, but I suppose we have them all on Zoom and things like that. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing people again and networking a wee bit more as well.
Oh, networking in real life.
Yeah, I know. I know, it seems like so long ago.
It was more than a year ago.
I suppose that this year's just flown in, but there's just been so many ups and downs, and trying to manage that. I think it's been really good personally for my resilience, I think.
Yes.
I've built up resilience from it, but yeah.
All of us that are still here have. Even if it doesn't feel like it, we definitely have.
Yeah, definitely, I know.
Right, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. And I'll tag you when I've put this out everywhere and share it.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you so much.
You've been great. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.